So many of my friends, family, people I happen to meet always ask me, "Hey, will you sit down and chat with their teenager, their son, their brother, sister about technology, about entrepreneurship?" And I've been doing it for years. It's kind of my way of kind of connecting to folks, hearing how people think about things, and trying to help people create opportunities for themselves. But I decided to start recording them. So I recorded this with a young lady who is in college trying to figure out how to create opportunities for herself. So my hope is in sharing this here, if you have a teenager that you've been trying to get to, usually it's always better to have somebody else besides you speak to your own kids because they listen to everyone else but us. Or if you have someone who's struggling to figure out how to move the needle, I hope this is helpful. If this is valuable, like and subscribe on whatever channel you're seeing. If there's someone who you think wants to have this conversation, click on the link below and they can schedule time as long as they're okay with it being recorded. So, again, hope this is helpful. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. God bless. Why not start now? Like, why not think about, hey, I love this topic, right? And I'm going to get super passionate about it. And again, it doesn't matter if there are so many people on the internet that there's a version of what you want to do that can be different enough and there's an audience for it, right? And the beauty is you have an unlimited research pool. Like if you come up with an idea, you can go, like I said, to YouTube and search, you know, video, sports podcasts about X or Y and be like, okay, they're doing that flavor, but I want to do this flavor. And again, then the uniqueness is you. So there's not just what you're doing, but it's also how you're, what you're bringing to the table from your unique perspective and background. So yeah, that would be my advice is what do you want to do, right? Like you can always default to something. So if you get core skills, you can always default to a job you have to do. But why not start down the path of something you want to do? And again, because you can start now, I mean, there are a whole lot of examples of people on YouTube that don't work for anybody, right? So while you're learning, why not start those things now? What other people would do is they would wait till they graduate and then they'd be like, "Oh, I'm gonna start this thing," but now you got to eat. Now you're like, I got to get a job. I got to get another. You're like at least like your mom and dad are like, while you're in school, be in school. So why not take advantage of that? Think about your. Here's the way to think about it. Imagine if you said, "My school is my investor in my company." So what I mean by that is my school is providing resources. They're providing me food, they're providing a place to eat, they're providing me access to technology, they're providing me access to equipment. And you were like, you know what? My goal is to build this company or build these things as far as I can to create a business while this investor is funding me. So and I'm saying this because this is exactly what happens when you come out in the real world. If you start a company, somebody has to give you resources. So you either use your own resources or you find somebody to fund you. The beauty is that school is funding you as an investor, right? So why not move things as far along to create a business based on something you love so that when the school stops funding you or stops being an investor, you can make a decision. And I've gotten it far enough that I'm making money from it and I want to continue doing it. Or you've gotten it far enough that now you go get another investor. Maybe you've built it to a point where somebody else wants to invest. It's a mindset shift, right? Because no one thinks about it like that. They think about it, well, I got to go to school, then I got to graduate, then I got to find a job. But no, if there's something you want to do, why can't they all be funding sources or time sources to give you the time to do that, right? Because if you don't want to look back and be like, oh man, I had access to all this stuff. Why didn't I just start it while I was there? Like I have the time. Like why not just do it, right? And unfortunately, no one thinks that way. So 90% of the people you're around, they're like, oh yeah, once I graduate, I'm gonna do X. But once you graduate, somebody's got to fund it, right? So why not do it now? So um, that's the long lead. Here's the short firm way. Let's say you start your podcast tomorrow, and let's say you keep doing it, and let's say you come up with a logo for it. And let's say you take that logo and you go in Canva, you create a logo, and then you go in the Printful and you create t-shirts. And every time you do it, you create and somebody's like, I want the t-shirt. You could put the link in and people could buy, buy the t-shirt. That's one way to make money. Let's say you did the podcast and you were like you wanted to offer a course on how to do podcasts, right, using your phone, right, and you put those links in, right. Let's say you all the equipment you use, like let's say you find a tool to help you with podcasts. Like I use this tool called Riverside FM, so like I could do this as a podcast, you there, me here. And let's say I got an affiliate link from them, and every time I did a podcast, I linked that. So while you're building the hours and the time to get the platforms to pay you, there's other mechanisms that just inherently you can do to make money, right? And again, I'm gonna go back to the premise I said to you before about your current situation being your investor. And I would say this to you the same, even if you had a job, right? If you had a job and you were working, you were like, hey, it's a job, but it's not what I want to do. That's not what I'm passionate about. I would say, okay, well, let's turn that job into your investor. Let's work that job. And then when you come home, that job is giving you basic resources. So when I'm off of that job, I'm going to create, I'm going to build this thing. So I say that to, like, everybody wants to worry about monetization, but right now you don't have to worry about monetization. All you have to worry about is making it good. So you can make it good, find different ways to incrementally get people to pay you. And also what you'll find is if you do it consistently, people will be in your DMs or be in your comments and be like, hey, this is great, how can you help me? Or hey, how do I do this? So like they'll give you ideas to make money, right? There's multitudes of ways. So everything I mentioned to you is like print on demand, affiliate marketing, right? And content course creation, right? Not once did I mention getting a check from YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram, right? But eventually you can, but it goes back to my point about having input goals. If you focus a goal on, well, I want to get monetized by YouTube, you're going to quit before you get monetized by YouTube, because not only does you have that criteria, you have to do things the right way to build that audience to get to, you have to create enough content and have people watch it. But if that wasn't even, again, if that was your input goal, regardless of the monetization, you'll get there and you'll find other ways to monetize, right? So that's the way that I would say to think about it, because again, I want you to do it in a way that you don't quit. And there's, like I said, there's a multitude of things you can do. But again, the luxury right now is you don't have to work. Like you can just focus on the craft of the input goal, and the monetization will come. Because if you focus on monetization, you're gonna quit because you're like, man, I've done this for 6 months and I didn't make any money. But what if in month eighth you hit, right? But you're not gonna get to month eighth because you're focused on whether or not you're gonna make money versus, hey, I want to learn. Because remember, it's a win-win for you. Like if you, let's say you do it and the end result is you get a better job because you can show you've done these things, that's a win. But doesn't mean you stop the thing, because that you just got a new investor, right? Like, okay, I did this in college, I got it to this point, but in college resources, now it allowed me to get a different job. Now that job's going to continue to allow me to do it with different resources, and before you turn around, you're going to do it. And so I would go to YouTube and I would find people you like, and then I would go in videos and go back and watch the oldest video that they did. I can guarantee you it doesn't look like the videos that you're seeing right now. But the difference is I can guarantee you that there's a date gap between that first video and the video that you watch on a regular basis, right? And that's the only difference between them and you. Yeah, and look, the reason is because there's so many choices now that you're like, I just want to do everything, right? Now, but the beauty is I would say that there's 100 things you can do, but what are the four things you should do right now, right? And then once you do those four things, then what are the next four things? And then the other thing too is to make it easier for you is that in today's world with the tools we have, is let's say tomorrow you go shoot a video, like you're like, hey, I'm gonna find an athlete, someone on my team or whatever, and we're gonna get my tripod for my phone, we're gonna get those mics, we're gonna find some good lighting, or we're gonna get a light, and we're gonna record one, right? Once you record that one, you have the long form, which is a YouTube video. You can run it through a tool. There's Opus Clips, there's Clip Magic, there's 20 other. If you do AI tool to turn long form into shorts with captions, then you say, okay, I AI tool to turn my video transcript into a blog. That one piece of content can be all the things that you're saying, but my version is a lot simpler, right? In your mind, you were like, well, I'm gonna record the podcast, and I'm gonna go do all these separate videos, and then I'm gonna go write a blog. My version is I'm gonna create one piece of content, and then I'm gonna look at those as distribution channels, but funnel them all back to a central location. So if you got a call tomorrow and it was like, hey, we want you to do your sports show, and we're going to put it on ABC, NBC, CBS, and then we're going to syndicate promotion on it on Fox, BET, this, that, and the other. You call your mom and dad, you'd be like, this is fantastic, right? Okay, so how is that different than you starting a show on YouTube and then putting clips on it on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc., and pointing them all back to that YouTube channel? So it's exactly the same. The difference is you don't have to wait for the call, right? Like you can do that right now and start learning how those things can, and this is just so you know, this is the same advice I'm giving public figures who call me or people who call me. The advice is the same, and they're not doing it like you're not doing it. So again, if you see, the playing field is level. Like I'm not like there's not something that somebody who has been a celebrity for 6 years is doing. They're not doing it either. So the flip side for you is, wait, I can level up. And what I tell them is like there are people that they've never heard of who have been doing these things, who are making thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars on these platforms just because they're doing it. There's people I watch who still shoot in their apartments, still shoot in their houses, but they have the key is developing the audience. So again, maybe yours is dorm room sports. Maybe it's appealing to all the college athletes out here who are trying. I mean, there's so many different ways that I don't even want to limit you by giving you an idea because mine might not be that good, but you're living it. So I'm sure you guys think of stuff all the time. And you're like, wait a minute, let me just start. And here's the last thing I'll tell you: it doesn't matter if it doesn't work, because if every time you do something you're going to learn something from whether it works or not. Like, don't hinge it on it working, because the luxury you have is each time you learn something you can tweak it. Remember, I said it's the worst it's going to be today, so why not try different things, but be honest that, hey, that didn't hit, or hey, let me do something different, I want to move forward, because these are the times you can do it, because less people are going to see it today than ever. And like I said, if you go back to anybody you watch online or any of these channels, go back to like their first videos and you'll see the evolution. Like they're doing everything we talked about.